So I've only just begun to realize how in depth you have to go to just make a map as immersive and livable as possible. And this is only my second draft, and I've just only begun to notice the lack of life it has. And this wouldn't have come to me if I hadn't searched up some video or guide about building maps. And that completely crushed my soul because, all this effort in the first draft and it's just gone to waste. And I began to wonder after this if, this is what people felt within the world. What if these maps are not to the perspective of myself as playing God, but rather maps created by characters and societies within Grewthen? And I've been inspired by this concept by a lot of YouTubers and world building channels such as Rick's Creations, who utilizes a character who creates these maps by exploring those parts of the world. And similarly in mine, I wanted characters to be represented more. So I wanted them to actually have a purpose and to have a sense that they were part of it by having them create the map. So the problem is I haven't had a lot of experience with building good characters because I created more lore and histories of the world a character lived in. Like that was more of my jam. So to make it more character driven and human like, I made it so these maps were created by the characters in my stories. But I also created, that sense of a human element so that these maps may just simply be wrong. And we could see this like before Columbus's famous expedition of 1492, or frankly any age-old world exploration, maps of the Earth were quite inaccurate. And there was always like this sense of unknown and what if to the worlds, and still there is today. And I wanted to capture that sense of mystery, like almost like a soft world built feeling in this story of group. Now, to be completely honest, it's probably because I was too lazy to finish parts of the map, but that's what sparked my idea. Just the the lack of information is what can drive a certain plot, and I just wanted to see where that would go in this world within. And in Grewthen, the civilizations that set power are undermined by religious authority that are all separated. And they aren't separated by designated borders or landmarks, but separated more so by an inability to see or hear each other. And they have an inability to communicate or negotiate and to see the other side. And what separates them is this great white cloud that towers the skies like a wall of fog, and it's known as the Sorrows, and it separates these societies. It's in close resemblance to like a cloud wall or a cumulonimbus wall or a cumulonimbus cloud. I don't know how to pronounce that, but that's what I took inspiration from these clouds. And from the society's perspectives, whatever lies within the sorrows and the clouds are of great mystery, and it is what prevented them from fully journeying and exploring out to the rest of the world. And the sorrows were said to have been created long ago due to divinal reasons, according to the religions. And some believe that the sorrows were created by the gods who sealed the Edwardian seed under Pulin so that no other divinal power can know of where it crashed. And for exact reasons unknown, however, the sorrows have ultimately caused an unwanted divide between the inhabitants and ensuing conflicts and hostilities between these separations. And that's simply because they could not see each other. They could not see the other humanity within them. And so religious matters rose over this, and because they're driven by the different beliefs of the seed and what they believed in and the loyalty and the legitimacy of the gods, and it parted these societies further away from each other. And for those who were brave enough, they ventured to these clouds, to the sorrows, most often perishing. And though when a new world is shown, they make immediate plans to invade after it because they just they don't know anything about it. They just want to. All there is absolute hatred. That's what this wall has built up. And yeah, there's no sense of emotional stability within them. It's just I see land, I just take it. And the map shown, is one map out of the hundreds that exist. But I just didn't draw yet, or rather, the others haven't just drawn these worlds. And this map in particular, which I drew, is in the perspective of civilizations. And that's also what I kind of want to capture is perspective of different civilizations, because that honestly makes the world so much more interesting when you go into the shoes like of another of your enemy or an opponent. So this map I've shown here is particularly in the perspective of the Order of Etiri, and it's one of the most prominent human civilizations within Grewthen. They live upon the continent of Mavin, which I've depicted here, and it's a land they've dominated for many, many centuries. They were once one of the five central tribes of humans, and throughout the years, they've gathered enough intel, and they slowly built, what is of the world around them. The sorrows were never as potent as they were in the past, so each society only knows so much of another. So there was a period of time where they were friendly and they had relationships. I mean, they still do, but it is very, very limited. And they question these sorrows in the clouds, the fights and the longing conflicts. To why they wage war, they do not know. And as you can see, I try to put the sorrows as little clouds throughout the map. Though, I don't know exactly how this would play out. So for now, it's just like an ugly pencil layout until I figure out something.